Hello YouTube, I'm back again with another rant video, and this is actually one of the more recent incidents. For we all know, obviously, for those who watched Tommy Sotomayor, he debuted back in 2011 or 12, and he's a man who does rant videos of what goes on within the black community, as well as bashing black women for the way they raise their kids and their ratchet behavior, their attitudes. And it talks about, and he basically like points out how black women claim they're strong, but they let their feelings get the best of them. They always get in their feelings. They get upset because they don't like to hear, or they don't like what other people think of black women. Just like in the scenario that I'm about to talk about. So the woman on the left, she talks about how she knew him a few weeks ago. Um, it's basically pointless bickering at this point when you just keep hearing her on. This argument goes on, pointless 10 to 11 minutes. I understand, but like at the same time, she talks about how she followed him a few weeks ago and then she unfollowed him on Instagram, and her excuse, and then her basic, I'll get to the excuse later, but she argues with him about how much he bashes black women. But he clearly states that it is his opinion, it is his experience, and he knows for himself as a black person. If you are raised within that community, if you are a black person yourself, then you would be able to notice what goes on within the black community. Although it seems like she's trying to make it seem like he's really stereotyping black women, but there are black women. He's saying that there are a huge portion of black women behave the way they are because of their environment, the circumstances, or a lot of it has, like he says, like he talks about in his old videos, a lot of it has to do with them being separated from their baby daddies, and they're usually widows. They end up widows, having to raise the kids for themselves, like getting and then being impregnated, procreating children from other men that they go out with. And the point he's trying to make is that they don't know how to keep their legs closed, and they make it, and then that's what kind of like boosts their attitude, and then they become condescending because they have all these kids that they're raising. So when the more kids they procreate, the more welfare checks they get. And the problem is this woman, like this is one he made a very valid argument. He's wondering if you don't like his videos, if it really offends you, you might as well just unfollow. You might as well unsubscribe. Don't watch his videos. As simple as that. But she had to make it like she kept the problem I had with this woman. She kept escalating. Yeah, I understand. Like you don't like to hear his opinion. You don't agree with it. At the same time, does not mean you can change his views, because sure you can make it. It seems like he hates black women, but what he's saying is he's the reason why he's talking like that. So there's a chance that maybe there can be improvement within the black community. That's what he's trying to say. Is that the only way black women are getting respect if they try to improve themselves as well as other black people. And what I find very interesting is that like although this took place especially this took place in the Fresh and Fit podcast. Um, one of the podcasters said, "Oh, he makes fun of everybody," which is kind of true in a way. He doesn't just make fun of black people, he makes fun of everyone. There, he even talked about he was kind of random because she's the black woman that's arguing with him on the left. I already mentioned her, but she's talking about he barely goes off on the other races. Tommy countered by saying, "Oh, he talks about white women that have flat asses," which is very true. Like not every, but there are a lot out there when you go out in public and see them. So that was his counter argument, but she's trying to make it seem like, oh, he only goes after black women, when really he's trying to, and it may seem like he's not trying to uplift the community. He's basically saying you need to do better, black women. You need to do better, honestly. If you want people to respect you and treat you like the queen you are, and so people can look forward to having to a conversation with you, which clearly Tommy Sotomayor was eventually getting fed up. And and in this situation, I don't really blame him, even though if he comes off as a pansy. But then for 10 to, like I said, 10 to 11 minutes arguing with him, bickering, like as if it's going to change his views, because she was kind of proving his point now. She's saying that you can't really have a conversation. He said that you really can't have a conversation with black women because they're always trying to win. They always feel they need to be big, they need to threaten people, they need to prove a point by saying that they're always right, when clearly in this situation she's not. Like he said, whether he's right or wrong, he's simply stating his opinion about how he feels because of his experience. That's all it is to it. And I find it funny because, so I'm curious how she'll react if it was a white person. So if you sure you get offended if a white person says something racist towards a black person, but if a black person calls out negativity within his own people, within his own race, he's somehow wrong. I don't understand that logic. How is calling out toxic behavior within your community even bad behavior? How's that even wrong in the first place? Especially if someone grew up within that environment. Because he clearly stated that he's telling her based off his experience as a black person and what he goes through. And then later, he was just fed up. He called her an idiot. He called her a bitch. And then she decides, you know what? I'm gonna throw hands with Tommy Sotomayor. I'm gonna be a man. I'm gonna step up. And that's one of the stereotypes he's talking about. That he was bringing up about black women. And then she starts it by going up in his face and then swinging at him. And then he tries to defend himself. Well, the one thing I do agree in this situation, like, because I think he had a similar situation where he's gone to fights with other black people, but I'll do agree with when Tariq Nasheed back in New York, where Tariq Nasheed punched him. He didn't have the same energy. I'll agree with the viewers on this one. He didn't have the same energy, like when it comes to a man. Like when it comes to women, he feels very bold, but when it's a man, he's a complete coward because he definitely folded, honestly. But then the podcast from here on now, people are like laughing in the background. People are saying, "Oh, Tommy Sotomayor needs to do better." I disagree. Like he's not the one. Yeah, I'll admit there are times where he does go off. He screams. He kind of acts similar to people who are ratchet. He does get off topic. He gets loud because she kept saying the same thing, and then she was trying so hard to persuade him as if it was any better. Like he said, if you don't like his videos, don't watch. And again, her excuse that, oh, she wasn't expecting him to be in the podcast studio. She wasn't expecting him to show up. She said, oh, she would have kept quiet about him had he not shown up. Even if you feel uncomfortable, like he said, if you feel uncomfortable, don't bring it up. Because that entire when I'm not gonna lie, I watched the podcast. It's actually really funny. The entire time it was literally the same. This whole literally conversation was her to him. Was her to Tommy Sotomayor because she didn't like what he said on how he was bashing black women when he felt like he had the right what need to be said again because he's stating his opinion. It's not going to change his views. The only way he can possibly change his views, I guarantee you, if women do better, black women do better. And he talks about weaves and stuff, which is true though. A lot of black women wear weaves, and and again the fight on that was I really can't compare that to Tariq Nasheed because like honestly, yo, you would think that he would step up in that last fight. The first fight against he had with Tariq Nasheed, you would think he'd have that same energy, even if especially if you're fighting against if you have the same energy with a woman, you should have the same energy that you do when you get approached by a man. Because yo, that says a lot about his personality. He can only step up on the field unless someone is a lot weaker than him, or he feels he has a chance, or he knows he can he feels the need. He can only pick on someone who if he feels about us, who he feels is a lot weaker than him. He can only stand up people he can actually stand up to who are a lot smaller than him, who do not compare to his strength. Because The people, I do agree with it. What he did was right to defend himself. He was definitely right, but it just to me, I kind of lost respect from when he didn't like defend himself against Tariq Nasheed. I already mentioned it before, but the point I'm trying to make is like for the people saying that he's wrong to do what he did, I definitely disagree. The moment someone puts their hands on you, you have the right to defend yourself, and it's for your own safety, it's for your own cause, so that you can make sure you make it out alive at the end of the day, because it's your future that someone, especially if your future is in somebody else's hands, they can end it, and you want to make sure you avoid that at all times. And again, the situation could have been handled better. Maybe Tommy Sotomayor should have not possibly yelled. Maybe that's what escalated again. That's probably why she decided to throw hands, because he countered by yelling, calling her a bitch, a stupid idiot. But at the same time, she is, because she kept constantly saying making the same argument over and over, like it was gonna do her any good. But then at the end of the day, there are times where you have to learn know when to keep quiet, and the rest goes for other people too out there, who just can't help but keep talking and just feel they need to escalate. And when you escalate, it makes you look stupid at the end of the day. So at least I feel like I'm sure he's gonna be able to sleep at night. She's still, I'm not, I'm pretty sure she's gonna forget about that day. She's just hoping that she doesn't ever even see him. And I'm wondering what will happen if they ever do meet up at another podcast, or if they do see each other. If it'll end up nice or end up bad. Like, because I don't like it. I think the best option for the both of them is to separate, and again, so they can make their lives a lot that much easier and more, and that doesn't become senseless as it already is right now, like from what we witnessed. And again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to wait and check for upcoming content. Be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.